Alright, Westing Air Brake Company, a subsidiary of American Standard. Number 14, EL brake equipment for diesel electric switch locomotive instruction path. Westinghouse Air Brake Brake Division, Wilmington, Pennsylvania. Contents: the number 14 LE brake equipment parts for single-ended locomotive. Description and parts: operational equipment, automatic and independent. Equipment for independent brake control, locomotives and double-heading services, double-ended equipment, safety control features, rules of operating, number 14 AL equipment. Automatic brake, independent brake, general changing ends, double heading, dead heading, multiple unit operations, lubrication, testing of locomotive brakes, and troubles and remedies. May 15, 1953. Number 14 EL brake equipment is described in this pamphlet. Its adaptation is well known. The 6ET brake equipment is applied with the steam locomotives. To diesel electric locomotives, which comparatively lightweight locomotive generally used in switching services. The important features of the number 14 EL equipment is described in the paragraph. Locomotives are made applied with the release and independently of or in conjunction with the train brakes, affording a range of control of the train unit not otherwise possible. Absolutely flex in the control brake cylinder pressure between maximum and minimum possible. 3. The brake cylinder pressure locomotive maintained regardless of the leakage variation in piston travel. Both locomotive and the train brakes may graduate on and off at will. 5. Maximum brake forces emergency ensuring shortest possible distance. 6. Extreme flexibility in surface operation ensuring smooth handling of the train, avoiding the damage to the rolling stock and lading. Alright, figure 1 shows the K14 brake valve removed from the pipe bracket. Parts of the equipment. The following list of operating parts make up the single-ended equipment. The short description of each for the difference with the part of the single-ended and double-ended equipment. Page 93. An air compressor or compressor is driven either by the electrical motor directly from the engine furnished to the compressed air for the use of the brake system auxiliary. A compressor governor automatically controls the operation of the compressor between the predetermined minimum and maximum pressures. The two main reserves are to which the compressed air delivered with the air compressor, where is to be cooled with atmospheric temperature stored for use in the charging of air brakes. 4. A safety valve which protects against excessive main reserve pressure in the case of the governor for any of the reasons for fault. It will stop the compressor. 5. A feed valve, which automatically maintains the predetermined normal pressure of the brake system. A reducing valve, which reduces the main reserve pressure for a straight air operation for air signal system when used. 2. Duplex air gauges on which indicates the equalizing reserve of the main reserve pressure and the other brake pipe and locomotive brake cylinder pressure. 9. A brake valve. An operating in a locomotive consisting of automatic independent portion. The automatic portion controls the operation of the locomotive and train brakes, and the independent portion controls the operation of the locomotive brakes only. But by proper movements of the automatic brake valve handle, the lower and larger one, the engine man is able to charge the entire system on the locomotive and the train applied to the brakes as hold the applied release of the brakes on the locomotive train. Hold the locomotive brakes applied with the releasing of the train brakes for charging the entire system by proper movement of the independent brake valve handle. The upper and a smaller one end of the locomotive brakes can be operated independently with the train brakes at any and at all times. 9. An equalizing reservoir which adds volume to the space above the equalizing piston is the brake valve, so the reduction of the brake pipe pressure may be properly made during the surface applications of the brake. 10. A distribution valve which automatically controls the flow of the air of the main reserve, the automatic brake cylinders when applying the brakes. From the brake cylinder to the atmospheric when the releasing of the brake automatic maintains the locomotive brake cylinder pressure against the leak, keeping it in constant with the holding of the brakes applied with the distribution valve. There is the bearing a small relation of the brakes on the locomotive that triple valve brakes bears to those on the car beside the performing additional functions. 11. Brake cylinders. When piston rods and connected with the brake levers of the brake shoes with the pistons are forced outward with the air pressure forcing the transmitted with the rods, levers, and the brake shoes apply them to the wheels. 3. Central figural dirt collectors. 2 of them are protecting distribution valves other than the protection of the feed valve, reducing the valve of the dirt collector's purpose of preventing The pipe seals cinders and foreign particles of any kind reaching from the device above the mentioned. Two quick releases of the valves, which portion directs the release brake cylinder during the pressure during the release operation. A combined strainer and check valve, which together with a cutout cock, constitute a dead end fixture of enabling the brakes for the locomotive being hauled. The dead end in a train to be operated like those in any of the car or the train. Various cutout cocks, hoses, coupling, dummy couplings, etc. Location each of which will readily understand with the diagram of the equipment in plate 13, the description with the valves. While the part of the air brake apparatus proper to the locomotive is usually equipped with the two air whistles and horns at one end at each end of the locomotive, to be used by the warning approach with the necessary whistle valves and cutout cocks. The brake system requires two-line pipes, the main reserve pipe and the brake pipe, the later being the continuous lead through the train. The main reserve pipe and the brakes has branches leading to the valves. The distribution valve to the feed valve, to the reducing valve, to the one duplex and air gauge, and the brake valve. The brake pipe leads the brake valve throughout the length of the locomotive of the train, having the branch connecting distributing the locomotive to the operating valve on each car. This means communication by the engine man with the proper manipulation with the brake valve handle can operate with the brakes on the entire train. A brake branch from the brake pipe leads to the duplex air gauge.